Manchester United have been busy so far this summer.
Yeah.
Happily for me, at the moment, we've sealed a deal for Joshua Zirkzee from Bologna to come in, a young striker, Dutch lad, coming on a reasonable deal as well, given that there was a release clause there. We've paid a little bit over the release clause in order to break the fee over 4 or 5 years. So it's coming at about 42 million euros or something like that. And then there's also chat about Lenny Yoro, who's been highly sought after in Europe. Real Madrid were after him. And Manchester United seemingly have stolen a march on them. He's doing his medical at the moment. And we're being linked with Matthijs de Ligt. Personal terms agreed there, apparently. Jared Braithwaite, who we've had a few bids knocked back for. But apparently personal terms are agreed there as well. There's talk linking us with Manuel Ugarte from Uruguay, the defensive midfielder, as well as Sofian Amrabat potentially coming back in and making his loan move a permanent. So Man United have been very, very busy in the transfer market. And we're seemingly, before it used to be, we only did one deal at a time. And now we've got our hands all over the place. Jared Braithwaite gets knocked back, we get Lenny Yoro in. I think I'm really pleased with the profile of player we're getting.
Yeah, De Ligt as well.
De Ligt's a
Like, if you go back to like 2019, he was the man, wasn't he? Yeah. Remember everybody. Yeah, everybody was after it. I remember he scored a goal against England, actually, in that Nations League. He scored a goal against England. Like, everybody was after him. Everybody said that he was the answer to their problem. When there becomes that iconic player and you're like, who needs him? And he became basically the answer to everyone's problems. Manchester United's back line has been an issue now for a long time. This is fine work, isn't it? Fine work so early in the window.
Especially when you look at Lisandro Martinez, his form has been massive. I don't think Argentina conceded a goal with him on the pitch in Copa America. And, he was fantastic for United. We only conceded when he went off in the FA Cup final. And if you compare him with a Lenny Yoro or a Matthijs de Ligt on a regular basis, Lenny Yoro is obviously a weird one because he's coming from League 1, which isn't the Premier League. He's going to have time for adapting. But he is one of the most highly rated defenders. Like, there's been people saying is the centre-back Mbappe in terms of how they look at him in France.
Yeah.
And it feels like when we missed out on Varane to Real Madrid, we've probably got over that. And bringing in him as well, like, it's proper shrewd business, I think.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It's a lot of defensive reinforcements.
We need him.
You've got 3 centre-backs coming in there with, I'm assuming, Maguire sticking around.
I think it's going to be...
And Martinez.
It's going to be Lenny Yoro and De Ligt or Braithwaite, I think.
One of them two. Who do you want out of them two?
I go De Ligt.
More pedigree.
Because Braithwaite is almost like I think it should have been De Ligt and Lenny Yoro or Braithwaite. Get one of the younger lads in and a guy who's more experienced as well.
You want to sign 2 kids, basically.
Yeah, so I think that will work out best. And then you're probably looking, because I don't think we'll sell him, Maguire will probably be our 4th choice, which
does it worry you?
You got Johnny Evans as well. You signed Johnny Evans again.
Yeah.
You got a lot of
He'll never play, though.
No, but I'm saying
he needs to not play as many games as he did.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Does it worry you at all? Erik ten Hag has a track record of signing a lot of players that he's formerly worked with, and overall hasn't exactly worked. Any reservations about the De Ligt signing?
No, because I'm more aware of who he is as a player. I think with the Anthony one, you go, like that wasn't good. But then Lisandro Martinez, he had a relationship that worked.
Yeah.
Andre Onana, I'd say the jury's still out. But I think Matthijs de Ligt is someone that you go, won the league at Bayern Munich, won the league at Juventus, still quite young. Yeah. I know he had injury issues last season, but generally his injuries haven't been much of an issue.
Can I talk about, I think the bigger issue at United for me is like, obviously the way I describe it is like, Adam, imagine like Rory and I, and Buvey was here, had very public discussions about replacing that seat that you're in. Constantly. You knew we'd had James Alcott come in. We'd had loads of names come in and we'd interviewed them and gone, don't know. You don't know what's happened. Then we go, actually, mate, we'll keep you around. Do you not think that's a huge problem for the club? From the players respecting him and thinking, you go on 2 or 3 games where you don't get a win and you think, well, this guy was nearly sacked last season. Why are we still playing for him?
Because it's not a good look from the outside looking in. But on the flip side of things, I think when new ownership comes in and they've made it clear that nobody's safe, I think it's almost something that you have to accept, right? As a manager, like or an employee, you have to accept these new guys have come in. They're gonna look. Now the problem that I have with that is they never just looked at what he was doing. They were also and then decided we don't want him. Now let's interview some people.
Yeah,
they were interviewing him while they were kind of judging him, and I think that leaves maybe a little bit of distrust between him and the board, possibly, or that feeling of always looking over his shoulder. But then at Manchester United, you should be fearful for your job.
You should, yeah.
You should also be fearful for your job.
Do you think the players would respect knowing
I think once
that he
they
was
come in
nearly
and
out
give
the
him a
door?
contract, I'd hope that they go, well, he's staying now. And also, I think the players, Man United is showing at the moment, again, it could blow up in our faces, that you're going to have to impress more than just the manager to stay at the club. You're going to have to impress everybody else above them.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Because those guys are in charge of the recruitment now, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think Omar Barada was at City, and he used to have a rule where if you're not cutting it after 2 years, you're out, regardless of who the manager is. Now, it's easier to do that at City because they're a winning machine. But I think if you can apply that here, then players should be fearful for their
I think that's a
positions
great policy, regardless of whether you're a winner. I think that's what I think that should be extended to Fulham, right the way through the league to Manchester United. I think I think that's a great policy. I think Chelsea should adopt that policy.
Well, you have for years, and it was successful.
Oh yeah, but at the moment we've got a lot of players who are clearly not good enough to play for the club who are there. Like there are countless players at Chelsea who are just clearly not good enough, and that policy that you've just suggested Manchester United are going to adopt would solve that problem immediately.
One of the things I do fear of, though, with this, obviously we're bringing in defenders. That's what I want to see. We're defensively really poor. And the attacker, we bring in Joshua Zirkzee. Maybe you bring in a Ugarte or an Amrabat. But I don't think just bringing in one of those guys solves our midfield issues. Because Casemiro's fallen off a cliff. I don't think McTominay's good enough to be a first 11 player every week. Christian Eriksen's on his way out.
What do you think Zirkzee signing means to Højlund?
You need competition, don't you?
But not identical competition.
The same.
They're two very different players.
No, but in both learning on the job, both kids, both looking for minutes, both looking to develop. You're never going to have. They're almost identical in terms of you're never going to have them both on the pitch at the same time.
I think there's a formation you can, but probably not. But I think we need
very naive front line.
We need competition for places. We need, all the best teams. They have two players a player that can come in for your striker. You're never going to have four like you did back in the day.
No,
but two or three. There's talk that we still want Ivan Toney. Which
it'd be a great sign. You know what? I was wrong about Toney. I wasn't convinced. He was brilliant for England.
Yeah,
he was so good.
Clutch player, isn't he? Seems to come in when you
hungry as well. So hungry,
plus to get a move to a club. I know he's not of the age profile we're looking at with some of these players, but he's just at the right age where he needs to start winning.
I think it's all very well, like a lot of the players that we're talking about Manchester United signing here, Zirkzee, we just spoke about Højlund, Jared Banthwaite's possibility, the kid that you mentioned from France, Ugarte, who's another youngster. Like, you do need a few geezers in there as well.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, it's all very noble to be signing young players for the future, but there's nothing wrong with signing a couple of 28-year-olds who are just ready to do the business now.
And I think that's what we need to accompany that team with. So let's say we got De Ligt and Yoro. I'll be buzzing with that. We've got Zirkzee, so we've got another striker in. One of the two positions I'm wary of is right wing. What's happening with Sancho? He did say there's been a line drawn under it. He seemingly apologised and they're moving on. Now, is that because he knows I ain't getting a right winger? Anthony's shit. I've only got Amad Diallo. Mason Greenwood just sealed a move to Marseille.
Do you like this? I think it's really poor. The principle, mate. You don't disrespect a Manchester United manager like this and get an opportunity to play for the club.
I said I don't think he should come back to the club. Even if we change manager, I don't think he should come back to the club. But you know what I'm like. I've got a big heart. If you genuinely say sorry, then you know what I mean.
People learn.
But it doesn't feel like that. It feels like Dortmund haven't come in for him, so he's gone.
Yeah.
No,
I need to apologise.
I think the principle here, it doesn't send the right message. Like, if you think about the way that Alex Ferguson would behave, there's no way that you'd get the opportunity to play for the club again. Like, Alex Ferguson wrote off the league that year, didn't he, to get rid of Jaap Stam when Jaap Stam wrote that book. It's principle over success even. Like, Jadon Sancho here has completely disregarded the manager, completely disregarded the office.
Although very different. He's welcomed players back like Wayne Rooney, etc. Like Wayne Rooney's a different breed of player.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. Sounds mad saying it. But you know, like when players do step up the line, he sometimes he is adult enough to say they made a mistake.
Yeah.
You're welcome. But it doesn't feel like it. If he apologised 6 months ago, fucking happy days.
How good is he?
There's that as well.
The question, isn't it? How good? Is
I love how talented he is, but he hasn't shown it.
He hasn't shown
talented
he's
is
good enough
he?
for Man United. He hasn't shown that at all.
No
chance.
Like Adam,
Do you think
when
he
we've
can in the
spoken
Prem?
about other Manchester United young players, some Manchester United players that won't ever play for the club again, even. You've said to me, like, incredible talent, incredible ability, one of the best you've ever seen. And
Mason Greenwood, you're on about, yeah.
I was thinking, I thought it was applicable to a few. Like,
But yeah,
it's
Mason
the same
Greenwood's
conversation
I
about
don't think
Greenwood and
Sancho's
Rooney.
as good as Mason Greenwood.
Greenwood and Rooney, you were like, it kind of blew my mind as a kid, like, just burst onto the scene. Jadon Sancho, you're kind of dancing to a very particular tune here to welcome him back in, breaking a principle, which should be that you don't disrespect the office of Manchester United manager. And then, by the way, take to Twitter, pin it to the top of your Twitter profile, like you're having an argument in sixth form, and make it your thing. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, I know if this was a Chelsea thing, I'd go, absolutely not. You should never play for the club again. And then it comes on to how good is Jadon Sancho?
I think he's really talented.
I think that should be a piece.
I'm basing that off what he's done for Dortmund. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what we're all basing it off, because he hasn't quite, and I don't mean Dortmund in the last spell. I don't think he
wasn't great when he went back.
No. He scored as many goals as Anthony in the worst league.
Like, is he? I remember he scored a good goal against Liverpool.
When he was good for Dortmund, he was fucking
But they had
good.
a good team as well.
And also,
Haaland and Bellingham in there.
Dortmund, when I used to see goals from Haaland and Sancho, go back to watch some of them. They're always running at a half of the pitch that's just empty.
Yeah, it's
Like, it's just two
Haaland,
players
a lot
back.
of
Just
Haaland's
running
goals.
back, you got-
A lot of Haaland's goals are like that. You're like, where's the back line?
where's the back
They
line?
defended on the halfway line. Postecoglou, the manager of Hoffenheim.
Yeah, so it's like it's a bit
very true.
But yeah, I do think I'm happy with this transfer business we're doing. I just think we do need to make sure we sort out that right wing and that midfield position
Good.
for sure.